welcome once again to the Allon Exchange with Jay and Brittany Hagy. They are the founders and financial advisors of Allon Planning Partners. I'm your host, Spike Spangle, and every week we talk about retirement planning solutions. Jay, Brittany, how are you both doing this week?
Doing wonderful, Spike. How are you?
We are great.
I'm good. Well, here's the thing. You're probably like, what's going on here? I usually throw it to you, ask you what's going on. But I'm sorry. I've already got stuff that's on my mind.
Take over. Spike, take it over.
I've got questions. I've got questions for you. Look, we did a wonderful program about a month ago. It was called the When's in Retirement. When do we take out our money from certain accounts? When do we consider long-term care? And we got emails and we've got phone calls, and we had more and more of those. So I've got piles of questions that I want to ask you about when do we turn certain things on in retirement.
Exciting.
And this one was huge. So folks, please stick around. We're going to hit a lot of different kinds of questions, including long-term care, including Roths. But I need to start with this one. Biggest overwhelming thing we were getting from our audience members was questions on Social Security.
I'm sure.
When do I turn it on? When is it going to go away? When might it get reduced? Should I turn it on as soon as possible? They're even talking at SSA.gov about renaming what they call it.
Right.
What is going on with Social Security? So the big one for me is, when do I turn it on?
Well, I actually had this conversation this week with a female client of ours. When do I turn on Social Security? You know, most people are so eager to get that income, right? As soon as they turn 62, I can file, let's file, because I want that added income. But there are really so many factors to consider. And this individual in particular did not realize that if they were still working, which they are, there is a penalty assessed to their Social Security benefit, basically meaning they're going to have to pay some of that back if they make over a certain threshold, which they did. So, of course, advise them it's probably not good to file, because you're just going to be giving all that money back when you can let it grow over the next couple of years, because you're not full retirement age yet. Let it grow so that your benefit is larger when you do file. So there are some things like that that are really important for folks to be aware of.
So for the Allon Exchange, your firm, you both have founded together, you don't have a stand pat answer. There is no perfect on Social Security. And you say across the board, if you've got 500 clients, if you've got 1,000 clients, there is no one answer for everybody?
It's all individualized, because everyone has a different situation that they're dealing with. Everyone has a different set of circumstances. And you have from the age of 62 to 70 to turn on Social Security. It's going to look way different. For every family that we meet with, for every individual that we meet with, when we would suggest that you turn it on. But one more thing we're going to be looking at is how to maximize it. That's going to be the common denominator. Wherever we're looking at in anyone's plan, how do we maximize your Social Security? Now, I've gotten a lot of questions too recently, Spike, about when should I take it? Because I don't know if it's still going to be here in 5 years or 10 years or whatever.
Let's talk about that. We're hearing
Listen,
that from Social
I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell you. I do know that the trust fund will run dry about 2033, I think.
33 is estimates now.
That's where the estimates are. So there's going to have to be some changes made. We're going to have to refund it somehow. I don't have a crystal ball, but I do know that just based on the current statistics, the amount of money going into Social Security right now would fund about 80%, close to it, 78 to 80% of the overall benefit. So even if the trust fund goes away tomorrow, you would only have a cut of about 20% of your Social Security amount.
You're talking about somebody who's 75, 80, 85 years old taking a 20%
Now, that's harsh. That's terrible. But it's better than saying, is it going to be here and is it going to be gone? It's totally away. So we have to plan for both, right? But we want to start out from a situation to where we're planning for your financial future without Social Security and with Social Security. But I do think there will be a form of Social Security, even for my generation going forward. It'll just look a little bit different. I may not get it until I'm 70, and that may be my starting range. I don't know how they're going to handle it in Washington. Nobody really does. But I will tell you, when we talk, we have to play with the game that we're given right now, with the set of circumstances we have right now. And we're going to find a situation for each of the people that we meet with to maximize their Social Security based on their circumstances.
It's a possibility that there could be a reduction. So with a 10-year runway of being able to plan for this, are we taking more risk? Are we investing a certain way? Are we using outside products? What are we doing right now? How are you talking to clients about the possibility of a 20% reduction?
Well, and this is for a lot of folks who typically you don't just have Social Security. Most people have, 401ks or individual retirement accounts, IRAs, things like that. So when we're strategizing in this complimentary consultation that we offer, these are the things we talk about. We're looking at your whole picture, right? Not just should I file or should I not? Well, that's not just a simple yes or no, you should now or wait till later. Because in order to answer that appropriately, we're looking at all these other factors. And so we're looking at a number of things that would really impact you. And if you do have those other buckets of money that you could pull from in need for income in retirement and delay taking Social Security to allow it to grow, to really maximize the benefit like Jay was talking about, that is one strategy, right? That is only a strategy for folks who can pull funds from other sources for the interim, right? And considering taxes, is it best for them to do that and pay the taxes and have that tax bill
and
that they would
considering
have?
family health history and what that
That's
looks like,
right.
and longevity. I mean, if
one.
most of the folks in your family are living to 95, 100, you don't want to plan to 80, right? And that's a big difference. And what's your health look like right now? So there are a lot of factors that goes into the when should I take Social Security. I'm just telling you, if you meet with us, we're going to dig into your situation and find the most appropriate situation.
By the way,
for you.
most couples who come into your office, they're the exact same age, right?
That never happens.
I don't know that that's ever happened.
Yeah.
Have we ever had somebody who was the exact same
It's
age?
rare.
Okay,
Very rare.
so there's a huge
Very
factor
rare.
then with Social Security and having that an age disparity, even
That's
of
right.
2 years or 4 years or 5 years. So as somebody who comes in with an emotional reaction, we've talked before about being proactive and
Right.
reactive
Sure.
and saying, look, I'm going to turn this on right away because I don't think it's going to be there in its entirety. You could be affecting your spouse, who's also 5 years younger than. How so? Can you
And I'm
explain
saying,
it?
hold on a second. I'm saying, okay, wait, let's not go there that
jump the
quick.
gun.
Let's don't jump the gun. Let's put a comprehensive plan together to see when should I be taking that. So you will be affecting your spouse if you have an age gap there, because if you take it earlier, you're not only the amount that they could possibly receive, but the tax implications that you're incurring there. So we have to make sure that you're not only taking your set of circumstances of your age and when you're maximizing for yourself, but how your spouse could receive on your benefit as well. That's a huge correlation that we have
if
to
you're
uncover.
married, you have to look at the Social Security planning together because it will impact the other. Because
100%.
when one spouse passes away, the lesser of the two Social Security checks goes away. So you lose funds there. And so you have to plan accordingly. That's why it could really impact one or the other when you file and the timing in that. If you can wait and let it grow a bit more so that your benefit is larger, that doesn't just help you in the now, it helps the surviving spouse with the larger check, right? Whoever has that large, it allows that to grow even larger to help support the income and lifestyle of the surviving spouse.
Right. Social Security isn't just a decision for yourself, it can be for your surviving spouse as well, and we want to make sure that you don't take it too soon. We've got to do the income plan, planning for maybe 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years of a retirement. Turning it on too soon could be detrimental to your spouse. So make sure that you get an income plan on this.
That's right.
One of the best ways you can do that, call the phone number you see down at the bottom of the screen, or you can open up your smartphone to the camera, point it at that QR code, click on it, it'll take you right over to the website. You can schedule an appointment right there. More with Jay and Brittany and the Allon Exchange right after this.
Well, about almost 10 years ago now, Brittany and I came to the realization that the position that we were in, we wanted to expand what we were doing. We were in full-time ministry. And so I realized as I was counseling people a lot, it had a lot to do with finance.
Because finances are a touchy subject. It can be challenging, and that's what we want to do, help people prepare for those unexpecteds.
I had a friend at the time who was in the industry and ran an RIA and decided to, take a sneak peek into what he was doing, and really, loved the model of being able to be independent and fiduciary in our advice and the way that we help people.
And when we decided to begin our own independent firm, we knew there's a better way. There's just a better way to do this. It's beyond transactional interaction. It's this relational component that we knew we want to have. And I believe that each individual and family has to find the right fit for them.
And I think most people that walk in here are looking for that unique touch. Like, independently, how can we help your family succeed?
Welcome back to the Allon Exchange with Jay and Brittany Hagy. They are the co-founders of Allon Planning Partners right here in Tennessee. I'm your host, Spike Spangle. We continue to get questions every single week about when should we take our income, when should we take our Social Security, like we just talked about. Now I'd like to ask you about this. When should we do a Roth conversion? Talked a little bit about it. Maybe we could explain a little bit more what it is. But for me, the Roth conversion, do I just keep working since I've been using this tax-deferred account, wait till I retire, go ahead and switch it over, pay that tax bill, and then move into retirement? When do I do a Roth conversion?
Yeah, and that is a very detailed tax question, and you want to know what a Roth conversion is, like you said, before you attempt to complete that. So a Roth conversion is really taking buckets and portions of the monies that you have in tax-deferred accounts, whether it's your IRA or your 401k or 457 or 403b, anything that's tax-deferred, and moving it, converting it over to a Roth bucket, paying the taxes at the tax rate you have today of whatever dollar amount you convert in order to get that into a tax-free status going forward. Okay, so the purpose is to get it into a tax-free bucket so that it can grow tax-free, and you don't have to worry about the RMDs or the required minimum distributions.
And whatever the tax brackets happen to be, whatever Congress does, whatever they change those things to, I'll get that money. I've got to pay the tax right now, so I've got to pull that Band-Aid off.
But timing matters.
And talking tens of thousands of dollars. So part of the when, if I don't mind you asking, is do I take that and pay that from that account? Or do I need to have money saved on the outside to pay that Roth conversion tax bill?
And there again, I don't know that there is a best scenario to do that because some folks don't have the money set aside in a checking account to pay that outside of the Roth. So if we need to pay it from those tax-deferred dollars, it's okay to do it that way. But ultimately, the timing matters. And what is your tax bracket today? We know what that is. What is your tax bracket where you're at? We know that in the future, the tax brackets will continue to rise because of the debt that we have in a nation. So we need to make sure, I can tell not only timing from a tax standpoint, but a timing from a market investment standpoint as well. Because there was a client I had back in 2020, you remember the COVID bubble that we hit. Market went down about 32% or 33% in a few weeks. It was crazy fast.
Quick dive.
And so as I was doing Roth conversions for some of my clients, one in particular, I called them up and I said, listen, now may be a good time to do a Roth conversion. He says, why? It's like, it may be a good time to do a larger Roth conversion than you typically would because the market has just seen such a huge loss. Now, we can't hit the market and time the market every time perfectly. But when we saw a 33% drop, I said, hey, we should do a little bit more this year than we've done. Well, come to find out, a few weeks later, the market had a V-shaped recovery like this, right? The market went down and then straight back up. We did a Roth conversion, and all those gains, he got the rise back up. Sure, he paid the taxes now. They all became tax-free. So it's
and as we know, past performance is no guarantee of future results.
Not indicative of future results.
You're not saying you can
but
say.
It is timing. If the market's down a little bit, some people say, well, I shouldn't touch anything. I shouldn't touch any of my funds because the market's down. Well, you can also utilize tax strategies to say, let's convert some monies in the times when they're down so that you can have them in a tax-free status when the market bounces back up.
And it's not this all or nothing approach. It doesn't have to be that way to where it's like, I have to convert my whole account. Well, no, you don't. There's, again, strategy is a key word here. Being strategic in the amount that you're actually converting each year. Again, considering taxes so that you're not paying crazy amounts of taxes, but you're counting the cost and determining, hey, it's worth it to do X amount of dollars this year. And we're working with a client right now who just came in, I don't know, maybe about a month ago, and we've created a plan, and we're working, walking him through the process of Roth conversions. And we've got a laddering strategy set up for him. As he is entering into retirement, we're going to do a certain amount we're converting from his qualified account, which would be his 401k or his IRA, into a Roth account so that he can allow some funds to grow tax-free for the next few years. But we're doing it strategically so that his tax bill right now is not crazy, you know, and so there is strategy involved.
Typically, you wouldn't want to make a $500,000 contribution in 1 year and pay the highest tax bracket you can. We have to be strategic in planning that, and that's what she's talking about. We ladder them over years in succession, so that way when the time comes and you're 73 years old and you have to take required minimum distributions, you have a lot less in that bucket that the government's going to say you have to take out.
And that's why that matters. That's why creating, these Roth buckets of money really matters, is so that when you do get to retirement where you're drawing and living off the income that you've saved up for, that you're not taking all of it from these qualified buckets or these taxable buckets. You want to be able to, yes, you'll take some from those, but you don't want every penny you're earning to be taxable in retirement. Again, we know taxes are going on the rise. They're going to increase. So let's set ourselves up for success. Let's be proactive in our approach and set aside some tax-free buckets of money so that we're able to really pull from both and not paying crazy taxes.
The reason being what you're saying right there is so important, because the taxable money that you take out in retirement, that tax-deferred money, it affects your Social Security tax that you pay because it goes against your income. Roth does not count against that, so you have a potential to pay less.
Wait, let's say that
Social
one
Security
again
tax.
for those in the back row. What did you say? So once you do that,
once you do a Roth conversion, every dollar you take out of a Roth bucket, and it's no longer a tax-deferred bucket, it doesn't go against the amount of money you have to pay on your Social Security tax. So it lowers your Social Security. It could lower your Social Security bracket that you're in from 85% to 50%, in some cases 0%, because you're not taking out taxable dollars that goes against that bucket. Also with Medicare, the amount of money that you pay on your Medicare premiums is affected by how much money you make, right? If we can lower that money by taking out in Roth buckets, you can pay lower Medicare premiums. So it affects everything in your retirement. So it's not just, we don't want you to take out taxable dollars so that you're paying less in taxes on your qualified money. No, we want you to pay less in taxes on Social Security, on Medicare, all of it, because we have positioned you in a Roth bucket.
This reminds me of a message. I think we're going to play it coming up next. The importance of literally having a plan. I'm amazed at what you're saying is that if we can get a hold of these taxes now, move them into a tax-free stream, then it will also help you with your Medicare, with your Social Security, offsetting this down the road. Very quick message. Folks, if you want to get proactive about your retirement planning, call the phone number you see right here. We will put together a complimentary written financial plan. What is the importance of a plan? Stay tuned and watch this message. Call the phone number right here to set up your own appointment. We'll be right back after this.
You have to have a plan. You know, from what I found, we call it the Sleep Well at Night plan, the SWAN plan.
Yeah, a comprehensive plan is extremely important for individuals, families, couples, anyone who is working with their finances. You've got to have more than just an investment.
If we have a plan and know that we can follow step by step a plan that's going to get us to our ultimate goal, we can have trust in that plan to anchor us in those tumultuous times.
And so we're able to really show them, hey, there's all these other things that really come into play.
So it's real important for us to really create those unique plans for people. And it's not just like, well, my neighbor's doing this, so I'm okay.
You got to think about your taxes. You got to think about your health care. You know, you got to think about a number of things that really impact the whole of your financial situation, especially for couples. And we talk about this a lot, that at minimum, both spouses should at least be informed.
Ultimately, we want everyone to not just, be wandering through life and hope that they make it to the goals that they have. We want to put a written step-by-step plan together so that you actually know how to get to those financial goals. Because if you don't have a plan in place to get you through some of those times and you don't have financial security, that's something else that is added to that stress level that can push you overboard.
Welcome back to the Allon Exchange with Jay and Brittany Hagy. The importance of having a plan. It is so incredibly important in being proactive, saving as much of your own hard-earned dollars as you can. Tax proactive planning is really important. Another one, though, I've got to say from the last few weeks of us answering questions for folks is, when do we know that we've saved enough money that we need an estate plan?
Okay.
So let me ask you, is this really based on a dollar amount, meaning if we have over $500,000 or $1 million, we need an estate plan, or we've got $10 million, or we've got 6 kids who always argue. What is the contributing factor of needing an estate plan?
My answer's simple. Do you have assets that you want to see get to someone that you don't want controlled by the state? Do you have any assets that you want to pass on appropriately that are not beneficiary designated right now, that do not have a beneficiary designation on them? Do you have a home? Do you have a car? Do you have anything that would go through a probate process that you want to dictate? You need an estate plan.
Well, and in addition to that, a lot of people, I think, assume that estate planning just means like a will or a trust, right?
Sure.
That it's just those things. That's part of it, absolutely. That's a big part of it. But it's also durable power of attorneys for healthcare. It's also durable power of attorneys for financial, meaning that when you are unable to make financial or medical decisions for yourself, you get to name who's going to do that for you. That also gives someone you choose permission to get into your assets to withdraw funds when and if needed. Now that's a big one for married couples.
It's huge.
We talk with married couples about this one a lot, because if something happens to him and he has accounts in his name that I need to access while he's on an operating table or God forbid, in a coma or something, I better have that durable power of attorney for financial that says that I have access to that account to be able to withdraw funds to pay the mortgage.
Even between a husband and wife, you're saying it's just as important to have those legal documents?
It is. So estate planning is much broader than just, I need to sit with an estate attorney and determine what happens with my assets when I pass away. Yes, that's a huge part of it, but it's also, in addition to that, how do I want things to be handled if I'm incapacitated? Healthcare, financial, all of these types. Even I know these are kind of harder things to talk about, but we need to face these things. A living will. As a daughter with my own parents, I want to know the care that my parents want. I want to know the care that my husband wants in those final moments, or if there's some kind of tragedy, right? And so it's good for us to have those conversations. And again, this is the proactive versus reactive approach. We want to be proactive in how we're looking at these things instead of this just shotgun reaction approach to where we're making decisions based out of emotion.
And it's not about being in fear and saying, oh my gosh, the sky could fall, so I have to plan this. It's about being wise and making sure that your assets get to the right spot and that all parties have permission to speak on your behalf if you can't do it, right? And so we are not estate planning attorneys. I mean, we do a lot, but that's not one of the things we do. We don't write up these documents, but we absolutely quarterback that plan, and it's part of our process that we get our clients access to and in front of estate planning attorneys that lets them know, okay, with the financial situation that we have, what documents do we need? Do we need a trust? And what is the benefits of that? Do we need just a simple will? What are the benefits and the hesitation about having one of those? The power of attorney documents she talked about. You want to make sure if you have assets and you want to maintain control if you are incapacitated or deceased, that you have a plan in place. That's what an estate plan does.
I'm going to ask the same question, though, in a way, but just about wills and trusts. Can you give, is there, again, a definition line of, I think you guys would be fine with just a will, or you're probably going to need a trust?
Well, don't get me in trouble here,
That's
Spike,
legal
because
advice.
I'm not giving legal advice. But here's the deal, because
advice.
I've walked this out with many, many families. Typically, and it's state by state actually too, because we help folks here in Tennessee mostly, but
or they've maybe moved here and have old documents.
We're right on the border of Georgia here too, in Chattanooga, so we're seeing people across the line.
Clients in California, Washington,
absolutely.
Rhode Island.
But I can't say here's why you need this and here's why you need that. But what I can say is, if you own, let's just give an example, multiple properties. A lot of people have rental properties and Airbnbs and things like this. These are all probatable assets that may qualify you to look at a trust versus just a will. What are the laws in the state that you live in, and how do they dictate how your assets are passed on and what probate process looks like there? You need to sit with an estate planning attorney with us present, with us in that conversation, so that we can help give you advice to what those documents are that you need. And I think it's different for every family, but there's not a hard, cold hey, you just need a will or you just need a trust. It really is based on your assets, the state law that you live in that's determining that, and how many children you have, and how many beneficiaries you have, and things like this.
Well, you both have 2 children, and they never disagree about anything, right?
Oh, I wish that were the case. Right.
But that's the thing, even with a lake house, a vacation place, or maybe even our own primary home.
Maybe in different states.
Yeah, maybe that's what I mean. So all of these different states, and the laws are different state over state. So
yes,
even if you put together a will in one state, you need to have this reviewed, and you need to have it reviewed every few years. So I know you only play lawyers on TV. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But can you help review their documents to see if they're up to date? Make sure, because I've also heard about this, about not placing the proper assets into the trust. You can't just download a trust document online, right?
And that's a fallacy. A lot of folks think that, hey, I've created a trust and I'm good now. You actually have to fund that trust.
Yes.
And so there's a lot that goes into placing your assets that you want inside that trust in it. And so we absolutely help with that process as well. So if you've recently moved to Tennessee, even, we've seen a lot of that this year, and you have documents that cross over state lines, come and see us, because you need to talk about your current estate plan here in Tennessee.
And I just want to say, Spike, that's why we called this show the Allon Exchange, is because of all these questions we've been talking about today. So many folks have so many questions, so many fears and frustrations, and really confusion that just kind of causes this swirl that you can get caught up in when it comes to how you're invested and retirement planning. And you don't have to stay in that place. It's okay that you might experience that and feel that, but we called this the Allon Exchange so that you can bring those questions, and we want to exchange those for some answers, for some creative solutions. You can bring your fears, you can bring your concerns and say, hey, how in the world do I manage this? And we can offer some peace of mind by helping you put together a comprehensive plan and proactively approaching all of these topics that impact you, that keep you awake at night. You don't have to live that way. You don't have to live in fear.
You're on a roll. Tell them about the book. It's not just the firm. It's you name the book that.
That's right. The Allon approach. And again, Allon means oak tree, which is a deep-rooted symbol of stability. And those are the types of plans that we craft for the families and individuals we work with. And the oak tree just symbolizes that so beautifully. And that's what this book talks about. It talks about what comprehensive financial planning really is and how it can bear fruit in your life, in your household, and with your family. And we offer a complimentary consultation. When you call the number below and schedule, you will receive a copy of this book as well. 866-691-7317. You can also utilize the QR code down at the bottom of the screen as well. Schedule your complimentary consultation directly online. Drop by, pick up your copy of the book immediately.
We look forward to seeing you.
Yes.
A phone call costs you nothing, but it can make such a huge difference on your retirement planning. Call the phone number, as Brittany was saying. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back again next week.